Welcome back to my video. I hope you enjoyed today's story. The decisions we make can lead us down paths from which there is no return. This story is about one such moment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's get started. If you leave tonight, don't come back. This is the story of Leon and Jelly. One evening, Jelly prepared to put on makeup and chose her best dress to go to a party. She said to Leon, "I'm going to a colleague's birthday party. Don't wait for me. I might be late." Leon sat on the sofa looking at Jelly, who was in a hurry. "You're going out too much, Jelly," Leon said, trying to keep his voice low but feeling a surge of concern. "I can't help but worry every time you go out. I always feel like something is wrong." Jelly was a little embarrassed when she heard Leon say she didn't dare look him in the eye and kept picking her high heels. Trying not to think about it, Jell said, her voice gentle but awkward. "It's just a party with friends, nothing big. But I don't think it's right, Jelly. You go. You go out a lot without telling me where or with whom. I feel like you're hiding something." Leon continued, feeling the tension in the air increase. Leon interrupted. "The problem is that you go out a lot and I feel like I'm not important anymore. We're drifting apart. I can't keep going like this." Jelly looked at Leon for a moment before looking out at the door. "I don't want to argue with you right now, Leon. I just want to go party with my friends." That's all she said, and turned to walk out the door. Leon took a step forward, his eyes becoming determined. "If you leave tonight, don't come back." Leon's words were Jelly, was taken aback by Leon's words. She had never thought things would get this serious. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I've suffered enough," Leon replied. "If you leave tonight, you don't need to come back here anymore." She paused for a moment, looking at Leon with a confused expression. She understood that what he had just said was more than just a warning. It was a line that, if she crossed it, would have serious consequences. However, she decided to ignore the tension that was weighing down on them. She sighed softly and said, in a firmer voice, "I'm going. We'll talk later when we get home." "Leon," she said, turning to face him, "it's just a party. Don't make a big deal out of it." With that, Jill turned and walked quickly out the door, without looking back. The door closed behind her. Leon sat there, his eyes empty, unable to believe what had just happened. Jelly's last words were like a knife cutting deep into his heart. "She chose the party, chose her friends over me." Leon felt disappointed and hurt. He wondered if this marriage was still worth anything when Jelly clearly considered her parties and freedom more important than their relationship. About an hour after Jelly left, a friend of mine called to say he'd seen your wife walking down the street with another man. Leon asked some questions, but he only said that when he was on the street, he met Leon's wife and a man passing by that night. Leon sat on the sofa in the dark, his eyes looking towards the door where Jelly had left. His friend's words were still ringing in his ears. He couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. Anger and disappointment filled his heart. He stood up, feeling his body felt heavy, like he was being weighed down by negative thoughts. He decided to leave the next morning. Leon still seemed normal, like nothing had happened. Jill felt a little embarrassed about what she had done to Leon the day before, but this morning Leon didn't say anything. Jelly chose to stay silent. Jill was getting ready for work and didn't suspect anything. She didn't realize the silent changes that were happening in her husband's heart. Leon silently watched her walk out the door, his eyes sad. He hadn't made an irrevocable decision, but he knew he had made a choice. As soon as the door closed behind her, Leon knew he had made an irreversible decision. He walked into the bedroom, his steps heavy, but his determination to leave clearer than ever. He opened the wardrobe and selected a few clothes and personal items. The suitcase was ready, with just enough to start a new life. Leon walked out of the house, not a spontaneous act, but a release he had been thinking about all night. After withdrawing the money from the shared account they'd built together over the years, Leon left the bank without looking back. He didn't hesitate. He was ready to start a new life. When Jelly returned home, she was shocked to find that Leon was gone. Everything that belonged to him was gone too: clothes, suitcases, and even a few personal items. The house they'd once shared was suddenly empty. Jelly felt afraid. Her heart was pounding. As soon as she realized something had changed forever, Jelly quickly pulled out her phone and called Leon. Her hands were shaking and her voice was faltering with worry as the phone rang for a long time. When Leon finally picked up, she couldn't help but feel panic in her voice. "What did you do? Where did you go? Why didn't you tell me? Did I do something wrong?" Her voice was shaking as she tried to understand what was happening. "Jelly, you can't continue living in a relationship like this anymore. You ignored all of my warnings, chose parties, friends, and more. You betrayed me. Do you want me to accept it?" Jilly choked. "That's not what I meant. I just wanted some space. I didn't think it would hurt you this much. I'm sorry. Please come back and listen to my explanation." But Leon still interrupted. "No need, Jilly. Your explanation is meaningless now. This marriage is over. I can't go on like this." Then, without waiting for Jilly to say more, Leon hung up. Jilly was left slumped in confusion and indescribable pain. She was crying. She was feeling regret and fear about losing the person she still loved. But perhaps it was too late to save him after leaving the house where he and Jelly used to live together. Leon went to a new city where he wanted to start over. The lonely life was not easy at first, but the freedom from a stressful relationship gradually brought him peace at his new workplace. Leon met Lena, a smart, charming, and warm woman. She had also just gone through a breakup, and the two quickly found sympathy for each other. They started chatting and soon became close. Lena listened to Leon talk about his past without judging him and encouraged him to move forward. They began to have simple dates, from dinners to long walks in the park. Lena helped Leon regain the sense of peace and trust he had lost. Over time, their relationship became more and more serious. A year after Leon left his old marriage with Jelly, he decided to remarry. He proposed to Lena It was a beautiful afternoon in the middle of the flower garden where they often walked. Lena accepted, her eyes shining with happiness. Leon and Linda started a new life full of love after Leon left Jelly. Jelly's life seemed to collapse. The men that Jelly had pursued were no longer interested in the flashy parties, and the fun had disappeared with each passing day. The house seemed to become more stuffy and cold. She had lost her true love, and now there was no one by her side to comfort or listen. Jelly must suffer the consequences for her extramarital affair.